So in my last video, I had mentioned how I had got a divorce, and before my divorce was final, I got into another relationship. Like after I left my ex-husband, I immediately got in a relationship with someone else who is now my husband. And I feel like now is the time that God is wanting me to start sharing my testimony about my divorce. And when you get a divorce and you're a Christian, there is a stigma around that. And what I found was that the most judgmental people about the divorce were Christians. And I was very surprised by the people that judged me. A lot of these people were people that I really looked up to spiritually. They were people that I trusted. And I have more to share about that. But today I want to share a story about somebody close to me at the time who really, really hurt me, and I'm going to tell you what happened. So, I had been married for 19 years. I was 19 when I got married, 11 days away from turning 20, and my ex-husband was 22. So we were young. We had 2 boys together, and at the time of the divorce, they were 17 and 12. When I got married, I was saved, but my ex-husband wasn't. So we were unevenly yoked. So that was no, number one. About 6 months later, he said that he asked God into his heart when we were at church on Easter. There was an altar call. He didn't go forward, but he said he prayed the prayer. And throughout different times in our marriage, there were times where we would go to church and I could tell he was trying to pursue a relationship with God, but it didn't really last. And I'm not judging his relationship with God. I'm not saying he didn't have a relationship, but after so much time, there should be fruit. The Bible says you will know them by their fruit. And it was clear, I was the spiritual leader in the family, which is not how things are supposed to be. There were some things going on in the marriage, and I was in denial. I was totally gaslit whenever I brought up the questions that I had. And I just let it go. By the time I decided to get a divorce, it was to the point where my ex-husband would literally ignore me. I would be sitting next to him, talking to him, or face to face with him. Not nagging, not griping, just normal conversation. And he would literally ignore me. I felt like a dog who got his scraps of attention. And I felt, I was always asking him, what am I doing wrong? What can I do better? And he always told me, nothing, everything's fine. I did realize that there had to have been something going on with him for him to behave the way that he was behaving. Something maybe that happened in his past that he needed to heal from. And I brought that up to him, and it was always, no, nothing, everything's fine. He, there are, when you're not healed, a lot of people, if they have trauma or there's something they're not healed from, they try to push it down in different ways. We know that. And he was doing that. And the behavior that he was doing in order to do that, it started to affect how he acted. There was always tension in the house. There would be blow-ups to me, to the kids. And anytime I tried to stand up for myself or for the kids, he would tell me to take the nice word is crap and get the F out of the house if I didn't like it. I wanted to so many times, but I didn't have any money. I was a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have a career. I didn't know where I was gonna go. And he knew that. So I pressed forward. I prayed and prayed. At one point, I was sitting next to him and I was on his phone with his permission going through his emails and deleting like the junk mail and all that because he had thousands and thousands of emails. And I found an email that implied, that basically told me something that he had been doing behind my back. And at that time, he did decide to go to counseling. We got counseled by a couple at our church. And I was so hurt, and I felt like he was not held accountable. I felt like he was not held accountable for his actions. And because I trusted these people, they knew better than me. I thought, okay, I need to stay with him. And one of the counselors was like, I see the way that he looks at you and he just loves you so much. And I took that one little thing and I held on to it and I thought, okay, I have to stay. Someone else sees that he loves me. So I stayed and I tried and I tried. I tried everything. Like I said, I asked him, what do I need to do better? What's wrong with me? Why aren't I good enough? I even told him, I just want you to be happy if that means not being with me. I just want you to be happy and I want you to heal and get the help that you need. And it was always like, nothing, you haven't done anything. I don't need healing from anything. Everything's fine. So, like I said, it got to the point where I just was completely ignored. And when we did have a good time together, like, I just soaked it all in. I felt like that was worth saying. I literally was like a puppy dog. I was like a dog. And whenever I got the attention, it was like the best thing ever. So it got to the point though where I just constantly felt like crap. And he just kept getting worse, the way that he treated me, and the neglect, the emotional neglect. And at one point, my teenage son, and it wasn't just once, it was twice, like, stood up to him and was like, the way you're treating mom is not okay. Like, that's not how you treat a wife. That was one of the times was I was extremely in so much pain I could not get out of bed. And I needed to go to the emergency room. And it was like 8 o'clock at night. And it was storming really bad. And he would not take me to the emergency room. And I had to force myself out of bed and drive myself. First I went to urgent care and they couldn't help me there and they sent me to the hospital. The storm was so bad, the visibility was so bad. I was going over an overpass and a delivery van was in my lane coming towards me head on because the visibility was so bad. I almost got hit. And I was so scared because I didn't know what was going on with my body. And he would not take me to the emergency room. He said he was tired and he had to work the next day. And my son called him out on that. My son. Obviously, that's something that I need to release to God and heal from too. Forgiveness is, it comes in layers. It's like layers. Sometimes it's like an onion. So, anyways, that's to the point that it was at. And I remember towards the end begging him. He came home for lunch and I standing in the kitchen begging him, crying, please, if you love me, please, let's go see a counselor. Please, I can't. I'm hurting too much. I can't do this anymore. If you love me. He literally just looked at me with a blank face. And I just stopped crying and I was like, I can't. And I just looked at him and I said, I can't believe, like, I'm standing here in so much pain crying and you're not saying anything. You won't even comfort me. You won't even give me a hug. And he got up, he put his rib down and he got up and gave me a hug. And he was like, okay. And I said, if you're serious about it, you have to call and you have to make the appointment. And he had the rest of the day off and he didn't do it and he never did it. And I had told him, I'm gonna go visit my aunt. She has, whatever weekend off. I'm gonna go in 2 weeks and I'm gonna visit. I'm gonna go by myself and I'm gonna think about what I'm gonna do. Because after that, he had a blow up, one of his blow ups. And it started in public. And he told me for the last time, this was the last time he ever told me because I let it be the last time. He told me to get my crap and get the F out. And at that point, I had been praying every day. God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? One day, I was crying and I didn't want my kids to hear. I couldn't stop crying. And it was COVID, so they were home. And I said, I'm gonna go to the store. But I went to the park and I parked in the parking lot. And I just cried out to God and I said, I don't know what to do. I'm hurting so bad. And he said, I heard him through my spirit. It was like, I want you to be happy. That's all he said at the time. He didn't say, I want you to be happy, which means get a divorce. He said, I want you to be happy. And that's all I needed in that moment to feel peace. After crying for 20 minutes in my car. So, that's when I started praying about what to do. And then the blow up came after that. And I prayed every day, like I said. And one day God opened my eyes. And he's like, you've had biblical grounds for divorce for years. And even after that, I still prayed, like, God, am I hearing you right? Am I hearing you right? During this time, I talked to my best friend about what was going on. And that's when I told her, and she was the first person I ever told, that he had hit me one time. And he hit me one time, only once. But he had gotten physical with me several times after that. And it took a lot for me to tell her that. And she was like, oh my gosh. She was very concerned, and she's like, when you tell him that you're gonna get a divorce, because when I made the decision, I told her, I said, I feel like, I'm gonna get a divorce. God has released me from this marriage. And I told her why and how God released me, what he told me. And when she heard about, like, when I told her about how he had hit me once, and she was very concerned, and she's like, what's gonna happen when you tell him? Is he gonna, like, what's he gonna do? Are you scared? I'm scared for you. Make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have a safe place for you and the boys to go. And I was like, honestly, I don't know. It could go either way. He could tell me to take my stuff and get out, or he could be like, you know what? It's okay. I don't think we should be together anymore either. I had no idea which way it was gonna go. But I got all my ducks in a row and got everything. I had a place for me and my kids to go if we needed to. I got all my important papers. I got our birth certificates, our social security cards, everything. I even went in my kids' rooms and secretly packed bags. A bag with their clothes. I had my own bag packed. And my friend was so concerned for me that she told her parents, which, without my permission, which is fine. I kind of wish she hadn't, because I wish she would have asked me first, but I understand where she was coming from. I knew them, and even they were so concerned that, and mind you, her and her parents lived in a different state, but they were so concerned for my safety and my kids' safety that they offered to buy us plane tickets out to where they lived, so if we needed a place to stay for a while. That's how concerned they were. So I had all my ducks in a row. I had a place to go, and I had a backup plan in case, I needed to get out of the state, which I knew it wasn't going to come to that. But then less than a week later, my best friend calls me and says, I'm going to pray for your marriage to work out. I think you should stay with him. You need to stay with him. I could not believe what I was hearing. How do you tell someone that you're going to pray for your marriage to work out when you told them about abuse? I can't wrap my head around that. I can't. I was so hurt, and I could not believe what she was saying. I was speechless. And I was like, I'm getting a divorce. Like, I'm not staying. Well, I'm going to pray for you that you change your mind. So, after that phone call, I kept my distance. I did not call her every day. I didn't talk to her every day like I had before. There was another reason for that also, but it's not really applicable, but that was the absolute main reason. The other reason was really tiny. This morning in my quiet time, God, showed me I have people I need to forgive. I need to forgive her. That's one of the people. It hurt me so much. And recently it really caused a root of bitterness. And I found out like a year and a half later that she had talked to my husband at some point during the divorce, and I'm sure he like gave her this whole sob story, and she bought it, and she literally bought him dinner. She ordered dinner for him from a restaurant, a local restaurant. Like I said, she lived in another state, and bought him dinner. And I just thought that added insult to injury. I would never, if my best friend told me that her husband hit her or that her husband was abusive in any way, I would cut all ties with him. I would never call him. I would never answer his call if he called me. I would never buy him anything. I would never buy him dinner. Of course, I never would have told my friend, well, I'm going to pray for you that your marriage works out. I never would have done that anyway. So, I am on this journey. I have done a lot of work, and so that's where I am in my little journey with God right now. I say little, it's a big journey, but like, it's not just her. I made a list of people that I need to forgive. So I come on here and I do these videos. I want to encourage people, and like the things that I talk about are things that I've come out of, things that I've done myself or I'm walking through. I don't just get on here to hear myself talk. Like, I talk the talk and I walk the walk. Not in a perfect way. I'm not saying that to say I'm perfect, but I'm saying like, this is why God has me do these videos. You could call them stupid videos, whatever. It's because we overcome by the word of our testimony. Like I've said several times before in other videos, Satan doesn't want us to share our story. He doesn't want us to share our testimonies. He wants us to stay trapped and stuck in the past, and that was what the Lord told me this morning. You cannot move forward. You're still looking back. If you don't forgive and move forward, you're stuck where you are, and you can't receive and experience everything I have for you. You're holding yourself back. It's like being in a job and being your own fault for not being promoted, for not getting a raise. Do you know what I'm saying? The other part is when I share my testimony, sometimes through video, sometimes just through writing, it helps me heal. So I'm going to be sharing more about my testimony and my divorce. It's something I've known from the very beginning that God wanted me to share about, but I knew I had to wait for His timing because I had to heal enough myself to do it. And I'm still on that journey. So anyways, I share that. I wanted to share this because as a Christian, you should be mindful of what you say to other people. You don't know what God has told someone else. And you may think you know, but you don't. So, anyways, I hope this you've gotten something out of this. I hope, I don't know, it's kind of it's kind of not like a happy story, so it feels weird to say I hope this has encouraged you. Really, I hope you know you're not alone. If you've gone through something similar, or you are going through something similar, you're not alone. It's plain and simple. You're not alone. So if you want to hear more of my testimony, stay tuned, subscribe, and I will continue to share as God leads me to share. I will, in the meantime, be sharing other things that God puts on my heart to share. So stick around, subscribe, and as always, be blessed and live free.